Hey everybody, welcome back. You guys know what it is. It's X's for Show, your premier media response show where we are talking about all our favorite nerdy queer things, kicking things off with a double dose of Drag Race this brunch Sunday. I'm Nico, and you guys can check me out at Nico Action, Nicoation.
And I'm TK. You can find me at TK Elemental.
That makes me Tori Sheehan. You can find me at SM Tori.
I'm Peak Jonah. You can find me places at Peak Jonah.
And that makes me your producer, Kev O'Reilly. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment so we know what you want us to cover in the future. But we are in the overlap, folks, so we have too much drag to talk about this week still.
Ooh.
And one of the things that always gets me about these sorts of so many situations is who was thinking that this was the way to do this? And I know that the overlap is on purpose. I know that that's how they do these things. But I am legitimately kind of surprised that it feels like Canada ended with no fanfare.
It's really tough because when you say it's versus the world, especially because we, up until a week ago, did not have Global All-Stars or anything that united franchises except for versus the world, it feels like in some ways that should be even bigger than an All-Stars because the world, it seems huge. The sound of it is huge. But ultimately, they are clearly one of the lower budget productions. The episode orders are fewer. The queens that they get are, they're not bad, but it's, that a lot of it is who can get there, who scheduling wise can get there, who visa wise can get there. And that doesn't always lead to the most eye catching names, even if you fall in love with whoever they get and they're awesome on the show. But so ultimately, once you get to the crescendo, the finale, it can go one of two ways. Either it can sort of celebrate feeling big in the small way that the show is, or it can kind of leave you feeling, yeah. And this episode was a little bit that. It was only that the winner was so great and was so kind of, who I think a lot of people were rooting for and celebrating for, that I think the real thing was the reaction after. The energy that I got was from Twitter the next day when I had not seen the show and everybody spoiled it for me, specifically a Drag Race queen who shall remain unnamed.
So talk to me, Tori, I'm pretty sure you're this. It's one of the things so Kebo and I are, powering through Grey's Anatomy still. And what's going to happen is we're going to have to count down to 20 a year at some point. And that's going to be horrible. But Tori, I think you have not had a spare moment since you started your Drag Racer career. And I really wonder, is this overlap actually a problem for you when this is the speed you've been watching like we did last year?
So it's really interesting because I started to feel it watching this weekend, where I was like, okay, I have to hold in my onto the fact that I just watched Canada versus the World 2 finale. I just watched Global All-Stars episode 3. I just watched 3 more episodes of UK 3. I'm having difficulty holding all the different casts in my head because most of them are foreign now. When I was catching up and we were still on All Stars 9, I was like, I know all these girls. It's fine. I don't have to kind of try to remember who is who. But with these, I feel like I have to remember more of who is who and I'm like, oh, when they did, what lip sync was on Versus the World, what lip sync was on Global All Stars. It's more difficult for me to remember, but I have been enjoying. I had a good time this weekend. Watching Global All Stars and Canada versus the World finale. So yeah, it's tough, but I'm getting through it.
Jojo, one of my questions for you is, like TK, you've been at this the longest, and so you grew up in a time where there weren't this many girls running around TV, and so now you got so many all of the time. I remember talking to you like a week ago. It probably was like a month ago because time is irrelevant, but
Time's not real. It's fine.
It really isn't, right? Time is just the sizzle reel of our memories. And so
Time is delicious.
Oh, so good. And the thing about it that threw me off was when you were like, no, Nico, there literally didn't used to be an All-Stars every year. And like now there's international All-Stars overlapping. How is it for you as somebody who started when it wasn't a thing and now it's so thingsy?
So I think I kind of recently changed my tune on it, and I really do think at the end of the day, I'm never going to say no to more queer content. This is one of the only programs that really is by queers, for queers, featuring queers, and it's kind of for us. And I'd rather there better be a bevy of beautiful benefactresses all competing for something that you don't actually have to feel obligated to watch. One of the very nice things is Drag Race is a la carte. You don't have to watch everything if you don't want to. You can watch whatever series you find the most interesting, whether it's your home country, whether it has a cast or interesting premise that you enjoy, but you don't have to watch everything, and that's okay. I'd rather there be a ton of content for me to choose from than them stifle themselves and be like, well, we're only having this year and that's it. And, just because a series might not be for me, it's for someone else. And I think, yes, there's a lot, and I wish there was maybe a better way to stack it so some people who want to watch everything or want to watch multiple don't feel as, as Tori said, like just so a little overstimuli, whatever the word is. But at the end of the day, I love that we have a show that, as queer people, we can call our own, and I'm never going to say no to more of that.
I just want to say I will never say no to more of one of our viewers who just popped in. Hey, big fan. Think you're very cool. So always big fan. Anyway, so Kevo, I really hear what Jonah is saying, and it kind of even translates back to something we were talking about last weekend at FlameCon, where there needs to be more content out there, and it needs to be driven, and it needs to be really all-encompassing. And when we're talking about the idea that there is queer content that maybe feels too much, feels overwhelming, I feel like that was kind of even the point of your panels, that there kind of can't be too much queer content if it's evolving the medium.
Yes, and I really agree, and I think that speaks to Jonah's point of you'll always want more, and it is a la carte, so it's not like you have to enjoy all of it. There's people who will feel that they're we know that Tori is a stickler for watching things in order, so we know that there are people who do that, obviously, and that is completely a valid and admirable way to do it for something that is this long-lived. But something that I really appreciate about this style of entertainment and programming is that it is more than about continuity. It is about the artistry and pageantry, almost bordering on sport with the level of artistry that this is. And I think each new season does a pretty good job of helping to get you to know queens you might not be as familiar with when it comes to this All-Stars or Versus the World format. Something that we have been talking about at the very beginning of GAS, Global All-Stars, is that we don't know a lot of the global queens yet. But they are working. There's only so much screen time per episode, but really because so much of it is about the sport and the pageantry, that's really what you're here to watch. You want to root for your favorite athlete for sure, but if you love the sport of drag, then you're really ultimately that's what you are looking for at its core. And I think that's what each different show's job is, to deliver different flavors of that. And the overlay can be exhausting, and like we always say, it can kind of take the teeth out of a crowning, unless the crowning is a really good one, and so that's still pretty cool.
And when we get to these points in these seasons where we have Global All Stars ramping up, I just feel like I couldn't give my heart to Global All Stars till I knew Canada was done. And
Right.
I even feel bad because I kind of hated the finale of Canada. I love the winner, love all 4 people in the finale, kind of loved everybody the whole season. But there were a couple of things here that I did not love. Number one, I did not really think we're at the point where I don't think you can let Lemon and Kennedy be the first lip sync.
Yeah, I was very surprised that they left that up to chance.
Because they blew the whole thing. I mean, I love the idea that any one of these girls had a shot, but the production had spent so much time making us really believe it was Lemon versus Kennedy, and for it to ultimately not be Lemon versus Kennedy just felt almost dissatisfying. But again, every girl here was phenomenal. Everybody earns their top pay. But this did feel like you set the entire series up for this being the ultimate payoff, and it wound up being the penultimate payoff.
It's really curious because I don't, a lot of times through the back end and through post reflection on the show, you find out what the order was that the girls were in at the end, like who was the runner up that season, who would have won if the winner hadn't won, who was third place. And it's never officially announced, and I don't even know, sometimes when the girls say it, I'm not even sure if it's true. They just talk about it like that. But I actually think it would be kind of interesting to know, and I would have set this up because the order to me clearly looks like Cheryl, Alexis, Kennedy, Lemon. And you could even maybe say Kennedy and Lemon were at the same level and just kind of orbiting each other. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't have minded the judges saying, based on what we have here, this is how we're doing it. Rather, it doesn't always have to be chance. And, it's so weird that there are often these moments where the final decision is RuPaul's to make and the judges are coming down so hard and they're really setting things up. Or in a challenge, they'll be like, we have assigned your roles. And, therefore, some of you, we gave really bad roles because we want you out of here earlier. And we all see it. We all know what's happening. But then in these moments where they actually literally could have had a better finale and nobody would have been like, oh, but I really wish they'd flipped some coins. We just wanted great lip syncs and a moment. We're sitting here we are watching them create moments out of non-realistic situations, out of stuff that isn't conflicts that aren't really happening, and we eat it up. We want to, that's TV. We all are here for good TV. So why here in this moment do we go, no, it's chance.
I would have there's a way to weight the spinny wheel where it can go to wherever you want. And just give us that illusion of luck.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Give us the illusion. This is, I imagine, for those of you who watched it live, I wonder if this is what Shea Coulee and Sasha getting first round felt like. I'm sure there's others that are escaping me where you're like, well, these were who was going to win. So whoever wins this one is gonna take the whole thing. Because I think it would have been more interesting to be the Americans and then Cheryl versus Lemon, because Cheryl is a great lip syncer as well. And then drop it off Kennedy versus Lemon in the end. We would have been happy with either.
I don't know how I would have felt if it had been the Americans first and then Lemon and Cheryl. I don't, because we've been talking all season about like the optics of a Canadian not winning. I feel like, I don't know, the sides on that feel very strange. But I mean, US always has the advantage because that's where Mama's from.
Yeah. And I will say, as someone who is not the biggest Alexis Mateo fan, I was very impressed by what she brought to this finale. I found her runway to be wonderful. I felt she really brought the heat in the lip syncs. I was very impressed.
Tori, I totally agree. It was really, I thought Lemon might have a moment at the very end because I find her to be such a captivating lip syncer and performer. And I thought they might go in the direction of like, if we know who the winner is, we can play around a little bit with who goes towards the end. And I thought Alexis really can't live up to how much I enjoy Cheryl. Even if I love Alexis, I think she's great. I think she performs really well. I think she's a great personality. She does a lot of stuff well. I just love how Cheryl performs, especially in a lip sync. And I was shocked. Every beat, she was totally there and ready to go. She really gave, I felt like it was a song that wouldn't really fit Alexis well, and she nailed it. Everything about it, I was very impressed.
I think it's a little bit of like a funny irony that the sentiment I'm hearing is there wasn't enough production interference when we often talk about, and there was too much production interference in other seasons. This time we were like, no, come back. I mean,
if you're gonna do it all the time, I'm gonna start expecting it.
Right.
There are things, I thought this finale just felt only weird in terms of pacing. It just felt a little bit tighter than normal finales do, but still, it's something about just pacing for me was a little bit off. That being said, there's plenty of things here that I love that they did that I wish they brought back. Something that's unique to Canada is the not incumbent, whoever was the previous winner, instead of using a fancy SAT word, previous winner will come back for whatever Canadian season is, and they do a photo shoot, they do something with the finalists, and they kind of give like this small interview about their run on the season, things about like the crowning would mean, and I love that. Raja is an absolute gem, truly one of the best turnarounds in perceptions from fandom we've ever seen, and I'm so glad that happened because I think she's an absolute star. I adore this queen, and her interviewing them, all of them saying how much they love her, how much she means to them, was truly incredible. I will say, Raja did not paint these portraits. That's fine.
Jonah, where's the proof? Where's the proof, Jonah? I want receipts.
Yeah, because Raja painted all 4 of these in 2 days.
Give me the receipts.
But she painted the ones that she painted in front of them, right?
Yes, and those were cute.
That's actually still, that's not bad. I expected those to be what was on the thing. And I was like, oh, I liked the other ones better.
These also look a little bit more like AI art. They also look like somebody used a digital filter that doesn't look like organic artistry. And, you know, I also just want to say I am an enormous Raja fan. And last night I begged Kevo if I could literally have enough images that every time somebody went to talk about somebody else, I would have him blast the Raja image on the screen so I could go, oh my God, just like over and over again all day.
So good.
Because I completely agree when you talk about a person who like, it gets hard. I get choked up. I was like the angry young man, you know, with the beer in his hand, and he likes to be known as the angry young man. And something that I really found in watching Raja was you could see the pain of a young person who had never been taken seriously in their life. Every time Raja spoke in her first season, you could see the pain that she was being painted into, the role that she was being forced into by life, not just by production. And like seeing who she is now is just like,
it's also really fun. I love that she's here. I love that she's on Canada and present on Canada so much, because the other person that season who was really just seen as rotted and gutted and terrible and nasty is Brooklyn Heights. And I feel like Brooklyn didn't have a redemption journey. Brooklyn is just gorgeous and white and said like, yeah, I did not enjoy you on our season. Like, I don't feel the least bit bad about that. I have no apology. I am stone-faced in how mean I was to the people that I was mean to. End of sentence, end of line. And it feels like, you know, on the one hand, I'm like, this is completely unfair, but because Raja actually had to work for it, but I don't like Brooklyn or think she's nice in the same way that, like, you did get to watch Raja go from somebody who seemed, she also did seem nasty. Like, she did not come off well. She didn't behave well, but I think we can all change our behavior, and we are not our behavior, and we do deserve second chances. TV's contrivance. She came back for All Stars, really cool and one to watch. And ever since then, she has been awesome. And she's really been supportive of the queens that she's around. And she's been an incredible competitor. And it's just funny to see them play off each other. Because, you know, being a garbage person is a journey that can go in so many different directions.
Well, and like, I even think Lemon kind of had that. Like,
yeah, a little.
In a good way, though.
A little more of a piggy brat than just a bully, but yes.
Because, like, when you think about people in their journey and you think about little bratty gay dick boys, like, the first person that comes to mind is Madonna. And the way she went from, you know, borderline to, like, a virgin to true blue. And then, you know, there's that lost period until, you know, Like a Prayer, and she was like, look at me, now I am sophisticated, and now I am ironic. And then she did Erotica, and you could sort of see the vision fall apart in her growth. And then every time she'd reclaim it, Ray of Light, her best work, she would lose it again. Music, one of my least favorite records. And I feel like Lemon is on this very special trajectory, like a Raja, where, I mean this really not mean, but you could see where Lemon let herself down in the past. You could see where she didn't serve that perfect sour squeeze every single time. And now I don't think that's Lemon's life anymore. I think she always has the strength of confidence, the strength of self, that moment where she starts crying because she can finally believe in herself. I really connected with that. And I love Lemon, man.
I also love Lemon. And there's something I want to add. I think I've seen some sentiment from the fandom that they think Lemon was pushed, Lemon was, you know, whatever. I do think there are two separate things that we have to kind of slightly address, and I only want to say slightly. Lemon really was not pushed. Lemon just dominated the season. I do think Lemon might have been their first choice as a winner, but Lemon crushed the season. In the 5 challenges they had, because there's only 5, she did amazing in every single one of them. She won 2 of them, and she was in the top the other 3. She wasn't pushed. She might have been their preferred pick, but that's not the same thing as production pushing someone forward. There have been plenty of queens who were pushed forward. I'm not going to name them because I'm not messy like that. But Lemon had an amazing run, and also the amazing storyline of doing so well on Canada 1, you know, making to the top 5 and having this massive fan base behind her, to going to UK versus the World 1 and being sent home first, and it sucks. No, like you went from top 5 to being the first person eliminated, and like she talked about it. That stings, and she talked about it that it affected her self-worth and this idea of like, oh, maybe I'm not talented or good. And seeing her come back with a vengeance, with a smile, with heart, and everything that you want from a winner, truly was just kind of amazing. This, in my mind, I think you can go back to the first episode of our coverage of this. We talk about that. Lemon's probably going to win, and nobody should be mad about it. Lemon did amazing.
For how hard she came, because she did not lift her Louboutin once. I think how short the run is really made it feel like she was being pushed. Because I think if we had only 6 episodes of All Stars 2, and you cut out the bottom 4 girls, so there was only 8 of them to begin with, like, you would be like, oh, yes, Alaska's going to win the whole thing. Like, there's because it's so short, because there's only so many of them.
I will pay you 10,000 Canadian dollars after tax.
$15?
I love that.
I mean,
read, though.
I agree. I agree with both of you. I think it's tough because we absolutely. I think when we see queens pushed, you have to remember it's never the over the top love for them. It's always they're in the top when they clearly were not. It's that they got the role in the challenge that was obviously the better role, when they were assigning roles. There are a lot of little subtle things, but when and Aquaria, they just loved, RuPaul just loved Aquaria. Aquaria was just doing well the whole time to Ru. You might not agree, but a lot of those fashion choices really stunned RuPaul. Same thing, Dela, they were not pushing Dela. Dela just kept doing well and making them proud, and it often seemed that they were just letting her sail through. But no, she just had a fucking engine and was killing it. It was clearly not that they were setting this up for Dela. It was that she just was doing really well. And it felt like that here too. Lemon had full command of the situation. And I think Tori's point is right. It appears really different because this is hyper compressed. And that's also kind of the problem with this finale is it's the end of the hyper compression. Having only done 5 episodes previous to this, only 5 challenges, we're now at the winner, and that's happening kind of fast. And because we also have to do the pageant of the previous girls, so we're not really even doing much of a challenge. And then the challenge setup was a little weird. So it just comes off a little bit strange, but it is unequivocal that Lemon did phenomenal. I also want to point out that, I feel like her top 5 and not winning season 1 felt like a little bit of a letdown to her and the community. And where she really came roaring back with a vengeance was the come through verse. I feel like, exactly. I feel like she kind of felt like an also ran to a lot of people after that. And then people heard her rap for the first time on a track. And it was like, oh, she's that bitch. And then it's to UK where it's like, oh, she doesn't look very good here again. But then she keeps releasing music and it's phenomenal. And then she comes back for this and it's just like everything is ready to go. It's a really cool roller coaster story.
And I think the thing we're talking about with the hypercompression versus it kind of, I want to bring in another show for a second, but then bring in another Drag Race show to explain this moment. The first thing I think about is we just had this problem with All Stars, where we thought All Stars was too decompressed in the finale, and now we're here. And we think this finale is too compressed because All Stars had an episode with nothing in it as part of its 2-part finale.
Right.
And so the opposite problem here, it kind of makes me think about, we just finished a fun little Hulu fashion reality competition called Dress My Tour. It was
also, I just saw the winner thing too on Twitter.
Oh, yeah. I loved the winner, and the winner was kind enough to thank me for being positive on them. Literally one of the most
cool.
Yeah, one of the most satisfying winners in any fashion show I've ever watched. Literally the person I was rooting for from episode 1. So that felt really good. But the problem was that, and I guess we'd never thought of it this way, but when you're watching Project Runway, it's the same judges and there's one focus. Yes, there's obviously the guest, but it's really about the show. Dress My Tour was literally about the tour artist. It was literally about who they were dressing. And in fact, the judges said repeatedly, we only picked who was going in the bottom. We had nothing to do with who won. And it was interesting because literally one of the most memeable contestants from Dress My Tour flat out was like, this is Dress My Tour. It literally is a different subject matter every week. There is no way to know what the judges want. And it's true because you don't know who your judge is the day before. But with this, you can design your package to excellence. You can come in and know these judges and know how to work them quickly. And it's sort of where Lemon did her 2 best showings not being judged by RuPaul. Pythia is finally being judged by RuPaul over on Global, and it's going really well. And it's so interesting because now I want to know because I think Lemon deserves 10 crowns. There isn't a question in my heart. But I do wonder if Lemon is benefiting from a judging that fits Lemon a little better, a tighter production that fits Lemon a little better, because exactly what you said, Lemon is tight verses. Lemon doesn't need the extra 6 episodes to pull this off. And so I wonder how much the production design it kind of enhances or detracts from a girl's win. And it's something that'll be really interesting to talk about as we transition into Global for the Global. But which, how did they not do that? But the Global would have been so smart for Global All-Stars.
Especially because
man.
Alyssa was already glowing.
Yeah, no, she absolutely looked like Jared Leto's jockstrap from the upcoming Tron movie. So I am so excited. Did anybody have anything left about our poutine serving motherfuckers from the north? Oh, I did want to say everybody sitting in their chairs, everybody sitting on their throne. I would have crowned them all there. I would have been like, actually, secret. We have a crown for each of you, and each of you gets a special designation because that was like some of the most beautiful any of the four of them have ever looked. And I was just so impressed because, not to be mean, but Rue doesn't let other people look more glamorous than her in shots like these. Rue would not have let this sequence go to air with them looking so stunning. This would have had to have been the Maxi Challenge. This could have never been a little quick mini thing like this. But Brooklyn is a little bit less insecure because Brooklyn knows she's still got 15 more years of work to put into her face.
Counterpoint: they would have been given a stupid prop or had
Yes.
to act ridiculous.
Yes, Kevo, exactly. They would have lessened the escalation and elevation of the idea.
I think that also is a little bit just Rue's personality of always thinking everything silly is better, and her having this weird slapstick. Yeah, this weird slapstick sense of humor. I do agree. It is to some level to make sure you're not shining as bright as her, but I think it is also weirdly her idea of shining, because she is a very weird woman who would be very good friends with you.
RuPaul is weird. She's just weird. That's fine. Everybody's
we
a little
love it.
weird. Let
We love
everyone
it.
be weird. Exactly. I want to
Let
give
her
it up
have
to the
her weird little stage show.
I want to give it up to this top four. Everybody did phenomenal. I really think Cheryl, another person who had this really beautiful fan backing from UK1 and going to UK2, similar to Lemon getting eliminated second, and you're like, fuck, again. And seeing her here, I think we've really seen somebody blossom and understand how to do well in a competition like Drag Race. I would have loved to seen, personally, based off these pairings, I thought it, and how things went, I personally thought it should have been Lemon versus Cheryl.
Yes,
That's just my opinion.
would have been my dream. Thank you.
But at the end of the day, I think everybody did phenomenal. Everyone should be proud of the work they put in. Everybody did phenomenal. And at the end of the day, yeah, everyone should just be happy. This was a great episode. Canada is just a great series. And the only reason I don't think people get more into is because it's infamous for having bad judging.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's so weird because I can't think of anybody more inviting than Brooklyn. Nobody, to me, seems welcoming. Like, let's go with the city of Brooklyn, the way Brooklyn does. I just wish her name had been Winnie Peg. You know what I mean? Like Winnie Peg height. Comedian.
I would also love to give a giant shout out to the runways that the other girls brought. I thought Eureka's was particularly lovely and fun. Fierce Delicious looking gorgeous as always. I thought they really brought it. It was really great to see.
I only wish Fierce Delicious had worn a t-shirt that said this is just a contractual obligation.
No, she wore that on
Hilarious.
her face.
She looked furious. And the fact that when she made the joke of, well, I know I'm not winning Miss Congeniality. I'm not sure how Eureka won Miss Congeniality. Because, like, literally, they showed Eureka being so fucking sour. There's a girl named Lemon, and Eureka is the sour one.
This
The
was kind of her
reflection-
meanest season.
The reflection of the premiere of her saying, I just don't want to lip sync tonight, so don't make me.
Yeah.
Her saying, I just think I deserve Miss Congeniality, so give it to me. And then they did.
Yeah.
I unfathomable. Congrats.
Yeah, I think all the nice girls were in the top, and they were like, well, it's either we give it to someone who was only barely here, or...
Yeah, I mean, I would have given it to Lakahana so she had something to walk away
Give it
with.
to her.
It's
The
that
friendship's
season
so
of
little.
Glee- It's that season of Glee where Quinn and Santana give prom queen to Rachel Berry. It's fine. Good for her.
I also just think that they need to start thinking about which girls can be on what series, because as we transition over to Global, I just want to say that the hardest part of watching Global is watching Rue try to get close to saying some of those names. She is struggling, and it is obviously very difficult to speak.
Wait, hold on. We need to trademark strugling. The struggle is real. Like,
Listen, any future queens who are listening right now,
yeah, this is
we give you
ours.
permission to use it. Just credit us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exit for show.
She is strugling and is roof. But
My first thought this episode, I don't know why I wasn't thinking about this more last time, but this should be a council. This should have Pangina. This should have like one of the hosts from like Germany or like Belgique. This should be an international group. It sucks because I love Jamal Sims and he deserves to get elevated.
well, next
in
week we
World
got
of-
Ross.
What's that?
Next week is Ross.
I don't care about Ross. I know you love Ross. I don't care about Ross.
But I'm saying it's an international panel. They brought in a bunch of Americans.
Yeah, woo! I feel like it should be more people judging that can also be like, hey, I can pronounce your name. Hey, I know your culture a little bit. Like, hey, I know your customs. Michelle tries really hard. Michelle is an international woman of mystery with the best of them, but she is still a white lady from the East and West Coasts. A lot she misses. Rue, God love her. There be marbles in that brain, and they do be rattling around. And she admits that. You know, she admits that she doesn't know any of her own lyrics. She doesn't remember.
Rue's just a set of Kerplunk in a wig.
Kind of.
Have you guys seen the clip of the top 3 of season 16 on Jimmy Kimmel? And she's referring to Nymphia and just goes, well, I call you Banana. And they could not remember Nymphia's name.
Yeah.
Got nothing.
She's got a mnemonic device. You go, girl.
I've been noticing that more and more, and it's actually kind of, I understand why the UK and Down Under girls are very frustrated with how their references have to be explained and understood, and it's just nothing going on in there. And so I get it. And it makes me wonder how much drag we're kind of missing out on in those when we can't get it past the head judge.
And it sucks because, UK is a great example. Alan and Graham don't chime in. They don't defend. They are fully in lockstep with.
Doesn't.
Yeah, true. True. They absolutely might be really doing that, but we never get that moment where one of them stops. I shouldn't say never, but we rarely get that moment where one of them stops and goes, "No, she's actually doing this." And I know you might not know that, but like it is actually a really well done version of that. And Reese, he's small. He doesn't want to get squashed.
Well, and I love that we're bringing this up because it is one of my biggest concerns with this season. I have this memory, like a little bit of a reference here for everybody, but there's a song by the artist who's currently playing in the background, BT. There's a song called Never Gonna Come Back Down, which is like one of the best pieces of pop art music ever. And in it, at the end, the singer, Mike Doughty, who is very talented and does an incredible job on the track, they're laughing about, like, they keep in an outtake sort of. And at the end, they're laughing about what a great job he did. And he goes, "It's what I do." And I always think about the sort of like hubris it takes for this only moderately then successful man to, I mean, everybody now knows I Can Hear the Bells. Like, there's music by this man, now, but at the time there's this sort of like, I'm so great, that I think it's so funny that they keep in the song. I'm totally for it. Alyssa has that every step right now, every single second, every frame of Alyssa. She is just like, and I am here to set things right. And it's just like, it's almost like she's a Tiny Toon parody of Alyssa as a Tiny Toon. Like, it's like they're writing in additional bad guy Tiny Toons to mess with the good guy. And it's not Alyssa as a bad guy, but the way they're framing her, they're only showing her most confident moment.
Little bad guy.
And like,
It's like how you, what's the little girl's name on Tiny Toons?
oh,
Elmira. She's
Yeah.
adorable, but she's also like a little bit a villain.
And so she's coming in and everybody's just sort of like, "Oh, Alyssa, she can put on a diaper." And like, it is really that level. Yeah, it's insane. And the only reason I have kind of a problem with it, because it's sort of coming at the cost of some of the girls who have had less American airtime looking as good, because there's this focus on, well, she's the best, so, and I have this memory of it's a Divas Live moment. It's sort of like Celine Dion out belting Aretha Franklin on "You Make Me Feel Like a Natural Woman," and Aretha standing up there with that look on her face. And I feel like they're not painting Alyssa properly. They're making her look kind of what we all hoped they wouldn't do to Roxy last season. By the way, Roxy, who, not to spoil Drag Race Live for anybody, but have y'all seen the images of Roxy as Wonder Woman? Yeah. Not to be missed. And the boys look so good behind her. It's the standard dancers from the show. They look so good. They're on tour, backing her up on the Work the World right now. So keep an eye out on Roxy killing it as Diana.
I sort of do wonder about this Alyssa storyline, only because she's coming off of the GOAT, which is sort of a House of Villains-esque. They're all garbage. She is still playing into this Abby Lee Miller of drag thing. Abby Lee Miller, absolute garbage human. But we watch the show because watching her be a garbage human, watching her exit the theater to go report one of her compatriots to the police for harassment is funny. Like, it is good TV. Alyssa,
that motorized seat.
Yes. Alyssa is playing into this a little bit. I think it's the brand. I guess what I'm just really excited to see is she coming really to actually win, and is there some hope of that? Or is this a brand builder for the person who doesn't really win Drag Race but just comes to remind you who she is? And that would be a very, kind of contrast. That would be a big contrast to Roxy, who I think really it felt like, the more I think about it, I'm like, maybe Roxy really should have taken. I love Angeria so much. She was my preferred winner, but Angeria has a lot of time left in this franchise and hasn't been here as long. And it really felt like Roxy showed up to be given her due and worked for it. Don't get me wrong, worked for it. But like, it sort of seemed like we were really going in that direction. It does seem like they love Alyssa this season, but it also seems like she is a terror and a nightmare. Funny one, but a big one. And maybe that person can't ever win, but is still here to show a lot.
I think that if you aren't gonna crown the American, which I don't think they should, and I don't think they will. I think for the most people coming in, you kind of need a den mother in there. And I think that's the difference between Roxy Andrews and Alyssa Edwards, is that Alyssa Edwards at the end of the day does come in and take the whole room in and say, well, I'm all better than you, but you can come sit next to me. And
Miss Hannigan, den mother.
Yeah, she's like Miss Hannigan. She's the it's called like holding court in a party, where you like show up and you know that a lot of people want to talk to you, so you plop yourself down in a corner and they come to you. And I
it's
feel
a
like,
really good feeling.
Yeah, and that's kind of what she's bringing to this, is that she gets to basically be queen of the whole room. Everyone knows she's the top dog. She gets to show that she's the top dog because Alyssa always comes correct. And then if they decide they want to do someone else, that's fine. But she just had a grand, like, farewell tour to the franchise that no one could ever say was anything less than amazing.
I do love if we're entering this age of, we're going to start giving these girls one last trot out. Like, it's so funny because, like, they are RuPaul's show ponies. They are the money makers. They have these big, long, beautiful manes, and we dress them up and we ask them to do these dangerous things and force them into these weird roles. And like, it is a stable of brilliant, beautiful women. And it is hard not to think that we are reaching that point where, and I feel so bad because I'm 100. I don't want to be yanked off the stage anytime soon, but like, we're reaching a point where the market saturation for this product isn't matching the market saturation for other products of its same kind. So we're not seeing an opportunity for a whole lot of people to rise to the top. So it winds up being that even though it's incredible that these women have done everything that they've done for drag, it's becoming harder for new, young, brilliant minds to break in. And I don't want to see people like Alyssa, Trixie, Roxy be told, no, your time is over. But I am feeling like seeing them continue to compete sucks, which is why thank you, Trixie, for saying I wouldn't do that again because she'd lose. But because, she's my fave, so I'm not coming for her. But, we're in a position now where the girls are kind of holding court on camera. And I think that's why you saw all of those alpha boys in this room bust out of their shells. And everybody got just a little cuntier than they normally would have. Because everybody was feeling like, you don't understand. I am the big dog when I am in the room. I am second to no one. And you're all talking to me like I'm not, because you're not from where I'm from. But where you're from does not mean your star elevates above mine. We're all champs. And like you could hear the ego coming through in this fight. And I just thought it was one of the most fascinating character studies for this show. Because you don't really see. I guess what I'm trying to say is this is a perfect place for Kitty Scott Claus.
Who I'm in UK3 right now, so I like Kitty Scott Claus a lot. So don't ruin
I
me.
also like Discount Cheryl.
Okay.
Well, that is her drag sister, so so this episode ultimately was fine. One, congratulations to Pythia. Truly, honestly, the most deserved win. She looked fantastic. All three of those looks, the one she made is absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And she made that while still helping other people.
Genius.
She is that girl. I think the rest of the placements were a little. I will say to our Julie, you were talking about this before about how RuPaul can't pronounce some of their names. Our dearly departed Athena changed her last name so RuPaul can pronounce it easier. I'm not joking about that.
I saw that on the Wikipedia article.
She's billed as something else in Drag Race Belgium. But here they gave her a different name. I
Jesus.
kind of understand maybe why they decided to let Athena go. I personally wanted to see more from her, but she comes across to be a little more reserved and a little more composed in confessionals, and that doesn't always make for the best TV. I don't really agree with the critiques that they gave her. It doesn't feminize your body is one of the weirdest things that they've ever said. What are you talking about? I thought maybe some other people should have been in the bottom, but that is not fully here or there.
When you and I had the exact same response of, I just do not
don't
like this.
As Kevo, Nico, and I were watching it, one of the Queen's looks came out, and we just went, and Nico at the same beat, we weren't looking at each other, this was not planned, we just went, I just don't like it.
Come on, name them.
Well, I won't name them because I think somebody else named them and they're enjoying them on their current season right now.
It's fine. We've had this conversation.
Yeah, I feel bad. I think she's wonderful. I was a little more excited than some of other people for her representing the UK. I don't know if this was Kitty's best showcase.
Yeah.
I don't know if her looks all fit the brief. Especially her villain look was a little more superhero-y as opposed to villain. I actually don't know if Tessa's two other looks were that much better than her final look, which she made. That was, well, I commend the idea for the design. And I even get where she was going with Miss Congeniality. Like, we've all seen the movie Tamar. Like, we get the reference. Them saying that they didn't really get no, we understand what it is. Also, I say this not as somebody who has boobs, but not all boobs are equal. Not all boobs are the same size. Some people have boobs that are two different sizes, and that should be valid in drag.
I got to be honest, as a guy who spends half of his time just walking past mirrors, slowly popping his pecs for himself, they don't always bounce at the same speed. You know, it's not everybody is perfectly symmetrical, and just because Rue gets her symmetry painted on by the meanest woman in the world doesn't mean that she can judge other people's asymmetry. Also, Raven, I love you so much,
but you are super mean. I love her very much. I love her mind. I really like where she's at. I love her attitude. I didn't quite feel Queen Kong blew me out of the water.
There's a
And-
different vibe on Queen this season.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and this is where we get into like international means. Like, I don't, I don't. When you're in your homeland and also amongst your people, and you're representing for your own like TV network and for your own drag traditions, it's very different than when you're coming to a World's Fair of drag and maybe trying to do some stuff that feels a little more outside your box. None of this was bad. It's the same thing with her performance in the first challenge. Like, I didn't think it was poorly executed. I just wasn't blown away by it because I think she didn't show what I know to be the talent that I've seen from her. And the looks here, they're all cool. I would love to see them in a performance, but it just didn't quite do it for me in the same way. And I don't know. I think the point I'm getting at is just overall the judging. I didn't find myself resonating with a lot of it. I think the standouts were pretty clear and did great. Again, this is that thing of like, Alyssa is doing well, and for all of her, I really, that moment where she was like, yeah, I wrote my name in the paper because I'm visual. I was like, oh, if she does not buy this back, this will be so embarrassing, and I probably will root for her less, because that is a bold fucking statement to make. And again, that's that like kind of terror behavior that she has going on, but Rue was impressed with the gumption, and she had the stuff to pay for it. So, I know that there's a feeling of like, she's really being given a lot of favor. She also is really good. So it's a tough thing to judge exactly. And of course, just Eva is so stupid beautiful, and still the looks are phenomenal. I maybe wish she had gotten a little more credit. I don't know. They're all really good. So when they all when 6 of them do well, it's like I want to sit and hear all 6 get the praise.
Someone who I really just want to give quickly praise to for the look they made. Vanity Vane looks so
So
gorgeous.
good.
Yeah.
I need to jump off a bridge. Like, that dress, like the fact that the ruching on that material lines up beautifully,
Yeah.
and she looks phenomenal. My goodness, can we give her flowers? Can
Yeah.
we just?
Although I
And-
did not like her villain look.
That's fair.
And I love all of the looks. I love most of the looks, at least, for sure. But something that we come up against every time we get to this challenge in a season is I don't feel like we get a ton out of the balls. I feel like they are beautiful, and it's amazing, and it's great that the girls all look so great. You know, something you said even is you'd love to see them perform in it. But it's just a fashion show. And I love this part of drag as much as anyone else, and I love seeing the artistry of it. But when so much of this competition is about active challenges on top of what you bring to it with fashion, this to me is always a week where I just kind of sit and watch, and I'm like, it'll be exciting. It'll be exciting next week. It's that it doesn't really excite me. It's not that I don't enjoy it, and it's not that I don't admire it, but now I'm already ready for next week's episode, because next week they're gonna actually be doing stuff. You know, the girl band challenge. You know, that's fun. That'll be something. They'll all have to break into teams and do different things. Like, this is something. But this was just sort of a really, really, really long time of watching. This was there's 11 of them, I think. So it was like 33 back and forths in a row, and that almost becomes exhausting to me, because I am used to there being other elements going on, and I miss that.
And I just want to take a second to say, Kevo, it is so easy to feel that kind of overwhelmed when it's so much like that in a row, when it's just like so nonstop. It's like why you never want to be the last presentation in a day of presentations. By the end, nobody gives a shit. And the thing, though, that I was really, I think, maybe more unsure of even as a result was like that was a lot of looks. That was 33 looks, and that is so exhausting. So then when it got time to kind of give us the feedback, give us the reactions, it seemed less like it was about giving us the feedback and reactions and more about just moving us to the lip sync. I felt like there was such a precious cut for time in this episode. It was 42 minutes, which I don't know the last time a Drag Race episode was 42 minutes without a whole bunch of people threatening to beat up the real friends of Hollywood or whatever. And so then this was super short. And beyond that, the editing, the cut style, the direction, this felt like an early series episode. And one of the things that's very different about an early series episode and a later series episode is the amount of focus that we get on the things that aren't just the challenge, that aren't just the 33 looks walking down the runway. And I don't know. I also just want to say, I know I made a couple of jokes about Kitty Scott Claus, but let me be really clear. Anybody on that stage is a consummate professional, an absolute legend of their ability. And any jokes I make at the expense of this person who is far more talented than I am at so many things are just trying to be funny and read her because I'm a parasocialite. And I feel like she would love me. So I just want to be really clear. Kitty Scott Claus, you are not, discount Cheryl. The two of you are completely different, amazing women, and you're both discount somebody else's.
Yeah, you're your own discounts.
And we love that for you. One thing I want to add to what Kevin was saying is something I'm adopting from my love of my life from season 16, Dawn, is one thing about design challenges, whether it's a ball, whatever, any part of a design challenge is it's something that's always up to the queen. Truly, it is what they make is up to them. It's very hard for anybody to argue because they're all given the same amount of time, and for the most part, they're always given the same amount of material. They all have access pretty much to very similar material outside of very extreme circumstances. This is a showcase of what can you creatively come up with. And I think I do appreciate a type of challenge like this for that aspect, where it's always going to come down to the queens. There is no, you can't say someone got a better part. You can't say someone this part of you don't dance, or they got more screen time in an acting challenge. They got more lines. The part was funnier, whatever. There isn't too much production interference that can go on with a design challenge. That being said, I also understand from the perspective, like, not a lot of plot happened this episode. Nothing really occurred outside of Tessa still nailing or fumbling, depending on how you want to look at it, her audition to be in the House of Edwards, which was a very funny moment of them in the walkthrough. Outside of that, really, nothing really advanced in terms of people's story across the episode. So, in that aspect, it could maybe come across as a little, I don't want to say boring, because there's still entertainment, but beach episode.
I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on the fact that I came up with parasocialite, and I'm really proud of myself.
And live on air.
And live on air. I'm just exposing everything. I just want everyone to see all of the scary weird.
What was the one earlier? Struggle? You're on fire.
You're on it today.
Oh, man. And speaking of on it, I do just want to say that one of the things that was so cool was these girls are on taking this seriously. They really are about the professionalism here. Something that we have maybe commented about a couple of seasons of All Stars have been that it does sometimes just seem like some of these girls are here to kiki. And like they maybe know they're not going to win, so they're just here to have a good time. Every one of these girls recognizes the chance this is for them on an international level. And I really love what these girls are doing. First of all, I do think Tessa is kind of handsome out of drag. Hey, what's up? And I think it is really interesting when a person is notably handsome out of drag and then pretty in a very different way in drag. And I wonder if part of why they love using Tessa's confessionals, because I found that he has definitely received a little bit more out of drag screen time than some of the other girls, is because he has a very handsome, clear kind of look to himself where like you know who he is visually. And yet at the same time, I wonder if his out of drag defined male persona is what's partially affecting his in drag reactions, because I maybe did feel that the other girls really, they were like, you just threw some stuff together. That's not real. And like, I did think the other girls were maybe a little tough on Tessa, who, don't get me wrong, did not do the world's greatest job, but that was the one place where it maybe felt less like camaraderie and reading each other and a little more like saying to one of the girls, you're fucking trash. And I was a little surprised.
I mean, I think it was also coming off of that moment with Alyssa, which I thought played very funny and very, like, you know, very safe conflict for Drag Race fans who really don't like it when the queens actually fight and snipe. And then this was where it got to like, oh, maybe are they actually going to go in that direction with it? But it was it's an interesting thing. I'll be fascinated to see if that's like a continuing thing for as long as Tessa is there, where they like she's a little bit saucy confrontational and they feel like it's okay to beat up on her a little bit, or if that was just tonight's storyline just for a little extra time in comedy.
Well, I've loved talking about these episodes, and I would love to get everybody sort of like rolling thoughts on our way out. I'm kind of nervous that next week is a music challenge, because it's one thing to say Eurovision and say, you know, 733 countries, everybody speaks 582 languages.
These numbers are all spot on.
Exactly.
Yeah, perfect.
And when I think about this, I don't feel so good, because I am not convinced that all of these girls will be put in situations where they're all capable of thriving at the same level, because you can't just say, oh, well, we'll put a style of music that is indicative of each person's culture in every song. And so then you're going to have people singing in styles they might not be familiar with. Like, you know, when Alexis was like, what is vaudeville? You know, a couple of weeks ago, that was one thing. But these girls might be, you know, being asked to sing in styles that they're just not familiar with. And so I'm a little concerned for the run some of these girls might have.
If I get Alyssa singing, when I realized these women were men, I will be good to go. I mean, like, I'm excited because this could be one where she just absolutely face plants. Not in a, like, get her Jade type of way, but in, like, a she can make it funny that she's not good at this. Or they'll just let her rap, and it'll be boring. Yeah, I mean, this will be interesting to see. Like, a lot of these people come from cultures that are a lot more free with their common musicality, and you can just kind of have music in your heart and in your life, and that's fine. And, you know, I think in America, we sort of expect that, like, if you're singing out loud, like, even just casually to yourself, you better be good. If I can hear you, you better sound good, or I can judge you and think you're terrible. And, you know, a lot of us don't grow up with music in the, like, besides popular, you know, we don't grow up with playing instruments or having family that play instruments, or maybe like going to church or other places where music happens, where in a lot of other cultures that's like part of the culture. And it will be interesting to see how that translates in terms of, like, maybe a lot of them feel really free getting into music, but Rue's going to hold it to a standard that frankly even she couldn't meet. We'll see. I'm excited.
Jonah, Tori, talk to me. Where do you guys find yourselves sitting as we move into some just global all-stars territory?
I'm excited to figure out who is who better, because I am continuing to be completely face blind. But I've been liking a lot of what I'm seeing. And I am excited to see if we're going to see more clashes about culture, or what's good drag here versus good drag there. You know, the judges don't understand my kind of drag, or if all of that's going to get shoved under the editing rug and we just never see it, because we're all supposed to kumbaya and pretend that drag is equal across the planet, which it's not. So that's where I'm at. Jonah, what about you?
I am excited that we get to kind of focus on the Global All-Stars. You know, this has been filmed and whispered about for so long that now that Canada kind of had a great finale, in my opinion, a great finale, we can focus on, I think, the thing that people were really kind of gunning for in terms of just things that they wanted to see. So I'm really excited to see what we're going to have next week. I'm really excited to see how these girls are going to do with a girl group challenge across, music can translate across the globe, but every country has a different style of what is or what isn't popular. I'm also, I don't know, weirded out that they decided to do a girl group challenge with an odd number of people and like, yeah, 3 groups and doesn't break up evenly. But that's just how my brain works, and like I like even numbers.
Oh yeah, no, I get that.
I did also catch that.
I have 11 queens, but they want to break it up to 3 teams, so we'll have 2 teams of 4 and 1 team of 3. I don't care for it, but it is what it is.
Kevo, do you have any parting thoughts on Global All-Stars? I know we've been making the jokes forever, but I think the biggest thing for me here is like it's the same thing for me as Tori a little bit. It's overwhelming to try and keep up with all of the American girls alone, let alone the international girls, who I want to give just as much respect and attention to. You have to make all of these images. I feel like you literally see every girl.
Well, it is me and my cohort, Jonah, who gets all of my Drag Race graphics for me so that I can make everything look all neat and pretty for us. But yeah, like I was saying, I think part of it is this was a ball, and unfortunately, maybe if the challenges were a little bit more personal and a little bit less like what you saw in Canada, which is just AI Nightmare, it would help us get to know the girls a little bit better. We are still getting to know them, and we did a challenge where they didn't get to show as much personality as I would have liked. So just getting to know them a little bit better, I think I am looking forward to, and will help really invest more in the gameplay of this season.
I guess I got to ask TK. I got to know, man, what is your international heart telling you? Are you glowballing these all-stars, or are you lowballing these all-stars?
I'm kind of just still sitting here trying to figure out what this is, and also really kind of paying attention to what I think it could be. Again, it's things like just waking up to this episode and being like, this should be a panel. Pangina should be here. Other people should be here that are a little more worldly. I don't know. As much as I love her, I know she has the money to travel. I know she travels. Rue just often comes off as, and I don't think it's that she is not worldly. I do think it is the same thing about her, that she's not good at remembering lyrics that are people's names, and she's cute and funny and real about that, and you don't have to be good at remembering people's names if you admit that that's how you are, and you try your best, and you can make a joke out of it and have a little fun. Tell the girl you call her banana. It can be charming, but it's functionally it's not great for this. So there's things like that where I'm like, love this franchise, love the idea. We need a group. Love Pink. We need a group here that establishes that thing that Tori was saying, like drag is not homogenous across the nations. And if we're going to ask people to come into one place and compete, we do need some converters. We need some translators, some converters, some people who can say, this is why this makes sense here, and it doesn't need to be judged by an American standard. So I'm really looking into stuff like that and hoping the season's done. So, I'm not hoping for more in this, but I'm hoping that if this is a franchise that people really like and they like to see queens from all nations interacting, that we can go to a place of a little bit more supportive production.
I really loved the way you put that, because my first thought was, now I wished what they had done is they had done international challenges. Like one of the things they said is that there is no reading in Drag Race France because it's not the same style of humor, so they don't do reading there.
Yeah,
what do they do
mean no matter what?
Yeah, what's their extra humor challenge? How are they not just mean and mean but funny? Right. And like it would have been cool to interpolate that into this season. Oh man, I love this conversation. I love this opportunity to talk. I also want to take a quick moment to thank all of our amazing new fans from the last couple of weeks. FlameCon, everybody just hit and like and subscribe. We think you're great. Please hit like, comment, and subscribe as much as makes you feel good. Just don't hit like after you've hit like already, because that's technically an unlike, and nobody likes an unliker. So really, it's been so incredible getting to engage with new fans, talk about new things. Keep letting us know what you think. We love doing this thing for you. And until we come back, does anybody have anything left to say before we hit the boop bop? All right, then I'm running for that boop bop. Tori, where can everybody find you on the interwebs?
You can find me on the internet at smtori. That's Tori with an I.
And Jonah, where can everybody find you on the internet being all peak?
You can find me being Peak at Peak Jonah.
Kevo, you and your co-producer, you make this look so easy down there. Also, Tori, I don't know how you keep coming so fucking fabulous every week. I'm going to insist that you stop. It's becoming unfair. It's becoming unkind. The rest of us have to look up. Like, some of us already feel like hideous troll goblins. The last thing we need is you being the light of the party. I'm kidding. Keep being beautiful and fabulous. We could not love it more. We are so lucky.
Compliments coming as well, because you are probably one of the more complimented members of our cast with your looks.
So, absolutely, we love the way you have elevated our show. You are the best. But speaking of the best, like I was saying, Kevo, the production you do is so incredible. We love having this all look so beautiful every week. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me tooling around on this channel. We have an exciting bit of content coming this week to complement the coverage we did last night of Alien Romulus, where we will have a video coming up on our channel that is me and Nico's old coverage of the Alien anthology franchise from about 5 years ago. But, you know, it's a franchise that we love, so I don't think many of our thoughts have changed. So definitely check out that 8-hour video when it drops. And until then, you can find me at Kevo Rayleigh. Back to you, sir.
And I do just want to say, it might be mostly 8 hours of Kevo and I, but there is an exclusive new bookend introduction featuring this guy. So, TK, where can everybody find you online other than hanging out with us, making old videos even better?
You can find me at TK Elemental. Nico, where can everybody find you?
Y'all already know it's Nico Action, NICOACTION. It's Nico Action Music, NICOACTION MUSIC. We love making this show. We think it's the most fun thing in the world. We love talking about Drag Race, nerdy things, and getting to be on this panel all together like a family. So if you guys want to stay part of our family, like, comment, and subscribe, because we love you and we love it. But then there's a couple of things we would like you guys to do for yourselves. Number one, you got to stay safe. It's a crazy world out there. Number two, do me a favor, be brave, because it might be crazy, but it's better because you're in it. But number three, evolve daily. Who you were yesterday, we love it. Who you are today, incredible, but who you are tomorrow, that's the dream. And until we're living that dream with you, we'll see you.